In the year 1997, the future is in chaos and turmoil. Mankind is on the brink of extinction. Brave survivors band together and build a time displacement apparatus to receive a signal from a parallel future. This transmission is the Bundacast.
Welcome to the Bundacast, the official podcast of Bundablog.com, the home of UFF8 coverage this year. Our short film toy vlog hunt is in the Unnamed Footage Festival, and I have the pleasure today of speaking with fellow filmmaker Michael Ruck, who is rocking the Unnamed Footage Festival with his film, The Ruck March. Not the Rock March, but the Ruck March. How you doing, Michael?
I'm doing good. And I realized I messed up with the title. It could have been The Rock March. Would have been awesome.
Yeah, I think people might have been like, is he a little narcissistic if you did that? I don't know. I think keeping it, like keeping it mysterious like that, and
Yeah.
there's an ominousness about the word ruck,
Right, yeah.
I'd never heard of the term till the film, so it's a totally
really?
new
Yeah.
concept to me. Yeah, I'm not. I got out of exercising very quickly. That wasn't. Those are for other folks.
Yeah. Rucking is a military term, basically going on a hike with a heavy backpack. So,
Yeah.
but this incorporates a little bit more than hiking with a heavy backpack.
So this part of the interview is going to be no spoilers for the film, and then the back half maybe we can get into some spoilers if that's okay.
Yeah, sure thing.
Yeah. So how did you how long was like the pre-production process to make the Ruck March? Like when did the idea strike you to like when you were able to start filming and stuff?
Man, so a quick little backstory on me that led me to the creation of the Ruck March was I was a U.S. Army Green Beret, and I medically retired in 2014. During my retirement process, I was recruited into what I do now, and now I take down pedophiles using computer forensics. So, so I'll hit a guy's house, I'll hit a pedophile's house, I'll take his computers, his phones, stuff like that, and I'll go through all of his stuff and basically make like a nice little package to get him prosecuted and put in prison. So at work every day, I have to look at the worst of the worst that humanity has to offer
Well,
as far as happening to children. Yeah. So it takes a toll. So one day while I was at work, a buddy of mine came to me. He said, "Hey Mike, are you doing this Ruck event that's coming to Reno?" I was like, "What are you talking about?" And so he told me about it. And so I looked up the company and I saw it was a company started by another Green Beret, and all the cadre, all the people that led the events, the rucking events, were current or former military special operations guys like myself. So Green Berets, Navy SEALs, Army Rangers, stuff like that.
mm-hmm.
So I sent them an email and I said, "Hey, I'm one of you guys. I want to be part of this." And so for 5 years, as a little side hustle, I started leading these Ruck March events. And very quickly, I realized that it's given me the mental balance that I need. So yeah, I'm saving kids and putting away pedophiles over here, but it's also destroying my mind. So on the ruck side of things, I would take out civilians and I would teach them stuff like survival skills, spycraft, military history, and then also challenge them mentally and physically. And and so that gave me the balance that I need. and it was an amazing time. I retired from that after about 5 years because my body just couldn't take it. Because, like I said, I'm medically retired. I'm 100% disabled. Now, when I'd be running these ruck marches, I take people out in the middle of nowhere. So they wouldn't have cell phones, no smartwatches, no way to communicate with the outside world. And they just have to say, or they just have to do what I tell them to do. So you have all these people trusting this random guy out in the middle of nowhere that's beating them down with, 100-pound sandbags and a bunch of exercises, who takes their food, doesn't allow them to eat food for, 12 hours. And so one of these days while I was out there, I was like, wow, you know what? This would be a really cool horror movie. Like, so much stuff can happen to a massive group of people out in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, it's fertile
And
ground.
yeah, yeah. And so after I retired from running the ruck marches, I still need a mental balance. So I decided to get into acting. And after a few years of being an actor and then later on a filmmaker, I was like, wow, you know what? I need to make a horror movie based off of this ruck marching stuff. And so one day I just decided to pull the trigger, and I contacted some folks, and I put a script together and an outline and everything, and I was off and running. And some of the people in the movie are actually people that would travel the country and join me on these ruck marches. They would put all their trust in me that this guy, this former Green Beret, wasn't going to kill them out in the middle of nowhere. So, so I decided to bring some folks along. I was like, as kind of like a thank you for trusting me over the years.
Hmm.
And so they were super part of it. So it was a great time.
Wow, that is like the most amazing backstory for this movie. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
God, sounds like its own documentary in and of itself. Like, oh my God.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. There's a lot of layers to this parfait of Mike Rock. So yeah.
Whoa, dude. Eh, First of all, thank you for your service. Thank you for your
No, I
filmmaking.
appreciate it. Thanks.
Um, me on the podcast, we're big Adam Driver fans, and one of Adam Driver's charities was based around bringing acting to veterans and to active duty soldiers as a way of them to be able to deal with emotions and
Yeah,
you
yeah, yeah.
achieve some healing and stuff like that through that. So I think it's really cool that that's a path that you've gone down. um
Yeah. Yeah, I needed once I retired from doing the ruck stuff, running the ruck marches, like I said, I needed something completely opposite from what I do from work. And acting gives me that. It lets me completely escape my work environment, and I can become a different character. I can become a good guy, bad guy, just complete transform, take my mind out of all the real life dark horrors that I have to see all day.
uh,
Like as soon as this interview is done,
mhm,
that's where I'm going.
that sucks.
You know?
Oh my
Yeah.
God.
Yeah.
Well, so let me make you laugh a little bit then, and
Yeah.
lighten the
Yeah.
mood here. I enjoyed the Ruck March so much. It was my one of my favorite movies is From Dusk Till Dawn. Uh
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I love movies that start off as one thing and then turn into a completely other thing.
Yeah.
And I think the Ruck March delivers that. Like right from the jump, there's a sense of tension and foreboding, and we know that we're gonna get to at least, some sort of massacre or something.
Yeah.
So that was
Yeah.
such a great way to open the film with a bang. Um, and then we meet our protagonist. I had the pleasure of watching your performance in The Summer We Died when I attended the Skater Die Film Festival in Pottstown, PA.
Nice.
And so I was familiar with some of the actors you were using and stuff. So it was nice to see, the new shades to these actors.
Yeah.
And I like that you guys have like this little horror dads like ensemble that you're building. I think that's really cool.
Yeah. So my oftentimes partner Dylan Brown, who we made the Tao Joe series with, and who directed The Summer We Died. When I first met him, he gave me my first role in a movie. I was the character called Ghost in his movie The Flock. And with The Flock, he used traditional casting. So he put out like auditions and stuff like that, had like a casting agent and everything like that. And a lot of those people, um, he never wanted to work with again. you know. And so when he met me though, he saw that I was a little bit different. I wasn't like a prima donna, and whatever was needed, he would get for me. I wouldn't complain about shooting conditions or anything like that. And so then after The Flock, he liked working with me so much, he asked me to be part of a passion project of his called Sao Joe, which is about a Bigfoot in the Sierra Nevada mountains. And so I hopped on board with that, and we just had a blast filming. And we needed certain characters. And so from there, I was like, hey, well, I have a guy for this. I have a guy for this. I have a girl for this. And so this made the process so much easier. And it was so fun. It was so fun. Like casting real life friends and family for our movies made everything so much more fun. And from then on, we decided that's how we're going to cast. We're not going to put out casting calls. We're not going to hit up talent agencies, stuff like that. We're going to cast people from like word of mouth or people that we know in real life. And since then, we have a handful of actors that we'll try to incorporate as much as possible because we actually really like these people. It's kind of like how Adam Sandler does it, you know?
Mhm.
Like he has a bunch of his real life friends and family in his movies. And I always say, if one of us makes it, then we all make it. And that's the thing. Like none of us are big time yet, but maybe somebody will see one of our performances or one of our movies and we'll get that big break and then we'll go big time. And it's because they were all part of this tight-knit group of filmmakers and actors.
And then how cool you have all this like back catalog of stuff hypothetically for people to immerse themselves in and enjoy and see the process. Uh
Yeah.
so so how long did it take to like finish an outline for the movie and be like, all right, we're shooting now? Like what was like pre-production like?
So pre-production, I spent I spent a few days just creating an outline and creating a script and stuff like that. I casted my actors and actresses. Um, that whole process, the script, the outline, and casting, I'd say maybe 4 or 5 days tops.
Okay.
Yeah, I had this thought in my head for many many years, so I knew kind of what I wanted to do, and so that was pretty easy. And then the next part was getting all the moving pieces together. So for the big finale, I had people come from all over. I'm in Reno, Nevada. We filmed a lot of it in Fallon, Nevada, which is about an hour and 15 minutes away from me. But we also had people from the Bay Area of California, which is about 4 hours from me. And one of my cousins flew in from Florida. So I had to make sure everybody was good to go. Everybody can get here at the same time. That final shoot was, I think there was maybe 25 people total on
Whoa.
set. Marching through the darkness of the desolate Nevada desert. Um, Before that, though, there was 2 other filming days, and it was a very minimal cast. The 2 female leads. One of my buddies, Shane, uh, he appeared as well,
So
and
it's a
so
3-day shoot?
total filming
Basically?
was 3 days. Yeah,
Whoa, that's crazy.
yeah, yeah.
Crazy.
And that final shoot was very rewarding, um, but it was very stressful because I knew I had one shot at this, right? So we started filming in Fallon, Nevada at about, I think it was 4 p.m. and I wanted to ensure everybody is wrapped and good to go by like 1 a.m. And we finished shooting, it was like 12:55 a.m.
Hmm.
So, there was a lot of shooting, a lot of shots that we had to get in. And at the same time, so I'm not only acting in this, I'm directing this, I'm making sure, the cameraman is getting the shots that's needed. Trying to ensure everybody's safety because again, we're marching in a desert at nighttime. Some people have headlamps, some people don't. So I'm trying to make sure these people don't die.
So you're checking every take, like in full out
Yeah,
there? Yeah.
yeah, yep, yeah. So we'll do a scene. I'll check it. We'll do it a couple more times, until I'm satisfied, and then we'll move on to the next one.
Okay. So usually it's your last take that usually is the one you're gonna go with, maybe.
Sometimes,
Sometimes.
sometimes I'll use my first take.
Okay. Just
You
depends.
know, sometimes like I really like the first take, but
Yeah, your second.
just in case, I always do at least 3 takes of something, just to make sure, and maybe I'll like something in the first take and I'll like something in the last take. So I'll find a way to kind of seamlessly splice those two things together. But fortunately, it was a good shoot, man. It was a good shoot. We had a lot of fun. It was high stress, but it was still pretty fun.
How do you like prep all of your actors? Like, do you give them all like something to like read before they start, like about their characters, or do you let them create that on their own? Like, how does
So
that process work?
So with the Ruck March, it has some twists and turns in there. So most of the actors didn't know. They
Hmm.
basically just trusted me. Like I said, there was a handful of these people that would go on Ruck marches when I used to lead them, and I, I always told them this one thing before I started the Ruck March: trust your cadre, right? Because the way I roll is I'll keep stuff hidden. I won't tell you my whole plan, but I promise you everything that I do is for a reason. Every little minute movement that we do is supposed to be there.
Well,
And these people knew that. Yeah, these people knew that. So they were like, we're just going to roll with Mike and whatever he wants to do, we're going to do. And we're not going to complain about anything because he has a plan.
no, but that's
Yeah.
genius on your part because if you had hired actors, then you have to treat them like actors out there. You know what I mean? And they have all these expectations of themselves. But these people already had the expectations from working with you before, so you're not even like, changing the circumstances they're used to, really.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes. Now, some of the folks out there were actual actors and they weren't used to this stuff.
Okay.
And so what was funny is in between takes, and there was a point in time where we had to wait around for a little while for it to get really dark. One of my buddies who has been on a handful of my ruck marches and has just gone through hell because of what I put him through. He would sit there and he would tell horror stories to the actors about the stuff that he would have to do because of me. And these people were like, dude, what the hell? Why the hell would you do this? This sounds like a terrible idea. Like my buddy Keith, he's in a movie and he was also the set medic as well. There was one ruck march that I led. We started off with a test. I started off with a test. So he had to go 12 miles on his own within a certain time limit. And when he got done, his feet were completely shredded. Like his feet were raw. So he had to
Wow.
bandage up his feet and stuff like that. And at the end of that, we still had 13 hours to go in the event. And he still made it. He still made it to the end. This is going up hills with 100-pound sandbags and being dunked in freezing water, stuff like that, a bunch of exercises. So this guy, he would tell these actors all these horror stories, and they were blown away. They were like, okay, well, this isn't that bad. We're getting breaks, and he's not killing us. So we're cool. We're just gonna shut our mouths and keep on acting.
That's it. You should do a version of you should remake the Ruck March but then you should really torture the people, and then
Yeah,
there's no twist at all. The completely shoot documentary.
yeah.
Okay, so everyone's bleeding. Okay, well, so so how long was your post-production process to cut it all together?
So post-production actually took a good while because before I did the Ruck March, a few days before I finished, um, um, I'm sorry, before a few days before I filmed the final Ruck March scene, I finished up my movie. It's called The Murder of the Monster. It was
Well,
my first solo written and directed film. It's found footage, and it has to do with domestic violence. And I realized that as a filmmaker, yeah, I like to have fun, go out there, make some fun movies and stuff like that. But I also realized as a filmmaker, I can use it as a tool to bring awareness and stuff like that. And so because of my life and what I have to do for work and stuff like that, I see a lot of terrible things, a lot of abuse, stuff like that. And so I wanted to make a movie on domestic violence. And it's a hard watch, man. It's a punch in the gut. It's a
wow,
punch in the gut. When I
I
had
want to see
when I
that.
had a screening of it, yeah, when I had a screening of it at my house,
Mm-hmm.
at the end, there was a mixture of people sobbing, silence, and people just hugging each other. It was rough. But at the end they said, "Thank you for making that." And this movie, it took such a mental toll on me, just such a physical toll on me.
How
That combined with filming, what's that?
how long did it take you to make that film?
That one, it took me a lot longer than I first anticipated. Uh, it was supposed to be maybe like a 2-month total shoot, filmed over this is a handful of days, but it took me about 5 months.
Oh,
And the reason for that is because it does show some abuse. And after the first scene that I filmed that had abuse in it, I saw how messed up the actors were because of it. The entire cast of that movie are some of the sweetest people I know in real life.
mm-hmm.
They're all friends. And to see what it did to those people, I was like, okay, we need to take a long mental break. Like the lead actress and the lead male, the lead actor, it took them about a month and a half until they were ready to see that scene, that first scene of abuse.
Wow.
Yeah. So it was an emotional toll. It was very draining. Um, and I made the
So,
movie, but if I never have to see that movie again, I'll be good.
so by comparison, the Ruck March is like a Disney movie.
Yeah, yeah. It's wild, man. It's wild. So a movie about a whole bunch of people going out to the desert and getting killed is a lot more fun and entertaining and happy than a movie about domestic violence, you know?
Well,
Yeah. And so after all that stuff, I needed a break. And so after I finished filming the Ruck March, I didn't touch anything for about 3 months.
okay, let's seamlessly transition into a plug here, and then we'll talk some spoilers.
All right.
So, share screen. So this is the beautiful website for UFF8. Let's click over here. And where do we have it? It's in the shorts and blocks. The Ruck March. And here is our. Wait, am I sharing sound? Hold on. JK, share sound. Sure. And let's check out the trailer.
We'd like to get a little video of everyone before we head on out there and basically want to know your name and your why for being out here today.
Hi guys, my name is Cami. I decided to come out here today and test myself to my limits while my husband stayed at home and watched our kid.
Let's get it. Let's do this. Only 3 weeks till I get to die in a desert, so might as well train for it.
But I used to be in really good shape, so I wanted to prove I could do it again. So for the last 2 months, I've been getting myself back out in shape, and now I'm gonna test it and see how we do. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
The good news is, I know what happened to the people that went missing.
Oh, this is gonna be good.
And that is the trailer for the Ruck March. It is playing. Calendar. On Thursday, the 27th, at the recalibration party. Is it playing twice or is it just playing that once? I thought it was playing twice.
Just playing that once.
Okay.
Yeah. So it plays at the party, kind of setting the tone for the party. So I'm super pumped, man. Yeah.
That is badass. We're now in the spoiler zone. Spoilers, spoilers. These are the spoilers. Spoilers. So the one of my favorite moments in the movie. How do I unshare? Jesus Christ. Unshare. Share. Stop share. There we go. One of my favorite moments in the Ruck March is the worm eating scene. And
Yeah.
the anticipation of like dread of like where are they gonna push these people's bodies to? Like, we've seen Saw movies, we've seen Human Centipede movies, we've seen movies where people have been tortured in like so many different ways with like bugs and stuff, but not often do the people elect to do it to themselves. You know what I mean? Usually it's like forced upon them, and here they're trying to do it to like show their grit and their toughness.
Yeah.
Was that something that was, just you've done before in the field to people?
Yeah. Yeah. So part of my training to be a Green Beret was I went through SEER school, which is survival, evasion, resistance, and escape.
Mm-hmm.
And you get taught a whole bunch of amazing things. But one thing you're taught is it's called going ugly early. So in a survival situation, you need to find whatever food that you can. Your thoughts of, oh, I can't eat that, that's gross, needs to be completely thrown out the window. And so that means eating worms, bugs, grubs, stuff like that. And so in SEER school, we're basically starved and we have to forage for our own food. And so I've eaten plenty of worms in my day. And so I wanted to incorporate that into the Ruck March. Because during these Ruck events that I used to run, I would teach these people that, right? I would take their food away and we'd be 7, 8 hours into the event and I would have food challenges. So I'd get some volunteers and stuff like that. And I'd give people an opportunity to earn their food back. It's like if I get 6 volunteers to eat these worms, you guys could have your food back. Or I'd do like mealworms or crickets or something like that, and people would do it. People would be so beat up and so tired and so hungry that they would say, "Hell yes, give me that handful of crickets. I'm gonna eat that so we can get our munchies back."
Yo, don't tell Mr.
And
Beast about this. Oh God.
yeah, and so I knew I wanted to incorporate that into the movie. And so long before filming, I reached out to a few folks. I was like, "Hey, check it out. I have an idea for the movie, and it's going to give you a really cool scene. You're going to be on camera, you're going to get a close up and stuff like that. And it's you eating a live worm. Are you down?" And the people that did this never ate worms before. And so they were like, oh my God, like they were grossed out.
So those are
They
all
were
real
grossed out
worms?
to, oh, those are real worms. Yeah.
No. Dude, we
Yeah.
were
Yeah.
like, when me and my wife Dana were watching, we're like, those got to be like gummy worms covered in chocolate something. No. Oh my God.
No. Yeah. I went to the sporting goods store the day prior and
Okay,
I
they're
got
they're
nightcrawler.
locally sourced. That's great.
Yeah. 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 And so actually, so if somebody buys, I'm gonna have them at the Unnamed Footage Fest, the Blu-ray of the Ruck March. On the Blu-ray of the Ruck March, you have a behind the scenes little featurette. It's like a little 8-minute featurette. And it shows a video that the night before we filmed the finale, I had my worms and my stepdaughter Willow of Willow Rock Productions. She was like, "Hey Mike, if you eat a worm, I'll eat a worm too." I was like, "Okay, I got you." And so I took out a worm and I ate it. And then I filmed her and this little cute little 8-year-old girl. She takes a worm and boom, she eats it.
Whoa.
Yeah, so it was fantastic. And so those people that ate the worm in the Ruck March, they were very grossed out. But that was, like I said, a lot of times I like to do maybe 3 takes or so. That worm eating was 1 take.
Word.
And because I wanted to get like their actual legit reaction to eating that worm. So what you see is exactly
Authentic.
what you get, man.
Whoa.
Authentic. Yeah.
That makes it
Yeah.
all the more special and all the more horrifying. Oh God. You should. What your pitch was not where you were building when you were bringing up the Blu-ray. I was like, are you gonna give them a free worm to eat at the Unnamed Footage
Oh,
Festival?
no, that would be fun though.
Well, or you can have some gummy worms.
You know what?
You
You know
don't
what,
always
bro?
have to do it 100% real.
Brother, you gave me a great idea, man. I could bring some Blu-rays and whoever wants to eat a worm with old Mike Rock can get a free Blu-ray.
Gummy
Yeah.
worms, Mike. Gummy worms.
No, no, no. It's got to be
Come
real,
on.
bro. You got that protein. It's healthy. Get them gains.
Sugar is good too. If you're selling Blu-rays, selling sugar. Sugar works better than vinegar for attracting flies. All right, sour gummies. Can we have a
Yeah,
compromise?
yeah.
Sour
You know,
gummy.
I will tell you a story though with the fake worms. One of these a few years ago, I ran a Ruck event. This was a 24-hour event though.
Whoa.
I took their food at the 12-hour mark. I gave them a chance to get their food back, right? So I presented an option. Option 1, you can do a whole bunch of exercises that I'll specify later. Or option 2, you can eat a worm. And so there was 30 people there. And so they separated. So maybe like there was like 8 people that went over to do the exercises, and the rest of them, they were just so hungry and so beat up and worn out that they decided to eat the worm. And then so I had them come get the worms. And then they quickly realized I found on eBay these brown realistic gummy worms. And then so I mashed up a bunch of Oreo cookies to make the dirt. And so when they got it, they're like, Jesus Christ. And so they were so happy. The people doing the exercise were so pissed. They were so pissed. And the funniest part about that though is one dude was so hungry. He was so freaking hungry that when all the worms were gone, like to make sure there's no more worms, one of the people they poured the container out on a bench. This is a bench. This was a bench in the San Diego area where there's a lot of homeless people in this park.
Okay.
And so this guy, he was eating Oreo crumbs off of this hobo bench in this park. Bro. Like when I brought it up, it's like, dude, you're probably eating like hobo ass right now. You're nasty. And then he realized he's like, oh my God, what did I just do?
Oh, that's a scene in Ruck March 2, baby. That's a great scene.
Yeah, yeah.
Someone eating hobo ass bench.
That would be. Yeah. Yep. Hobo ass bench, Ruck March 2. That's right.
Good. There's shit stain on the bench. What's happening? And the great, like, the way that the tension builds in the Ruck March is so satisfying. Like as people slowly disappear from the party, the
Yeah.
anticipation and the dread is building, and it allows the audience to, you know, use their own imagination as to how
Yeah.
these people are dispatched. That I think is just genius storytelling. Um and then ultimately it building to the twist of the group fully turning on them having, you know, secret members that have infiltrated that you didn't know were actually in control, but they're not, you know. I thought that was, you know, such a fun twist and performance for everybody, and the way you, like, you know, all like flip the switch and are just pulling out guns and just like unloading is like so wild, you know what I mean? And I was immediately like thinking like, oh, are they being like paid by the government to like take these people out or something? Are they like trying to thin the population? Like, what's the connection? La da da. And then ultimately we get, you know, the great twist that, you know, the nuclear experiments have, you know, left us with a legacy that
Yeah. Yeah.
needs to be taken care of.
Yeah. So the lady I shoot in my head, or I shoot in the head, that's that's my real life fiance.
Well,
Yeah. So and then one of the bad guys, the bad guy that's stepping on a girl that shoots her in the back, that's my real life son.
well,
So made this movie a family thing, little family activity. And then I wanted to add, like with me, I'm big on incorporating real life into things. And so originally the Ruck March was supposed to take place. It was still going to be filmed in Fallon, Nevada, but it was going to take place out towards Las Vegas more, which is 7 hours away from me, where they actually did, nuclear testing and stuff like that.
mhm.
But then I found out in Fallon, Nevada, they actually had an underground nuclear test in the 60s. So I was like, aha. So I incorporated that. So we filmed maybe about 10 minutes from where they did that underground nuke test. And
Uh-huh.
so just incorporate everything in there. And, so now people can do their own research and are like, holy crap, like there really was nuclear testing out in this desert in Fallon, Nevada. And it's even at the very end of the movie, it shows a recruitment poster that all the people are carrying in the movie. It shows the recruitment poster, and if you type in the coordinates into Google Maps, it takes you to that nuclear test site. It's called Project Shoal. So little fun Easter eggs in here. Yeah.
That's super, super cool. And so much fertile ground to play with in the future if you want to, and is just such a fun you know, ultimate experience. Ultimately I was hoping, you know, I was hoping somebody would get out of there, you know, somehow, some way, but ultimately it was not to be. Um
Yeah, yeah. Want to make it horror movie. So my asshole character, he has to die.
Maybe you have an evil twin, or a nice twin, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, some people hit me up and are like, dude, I love this movie and I want to see it expanded on. Like you ever think about making a part two? At first, no. I was gonna make part one and I was gonna sell the monster mask and the gloves and stuff like that that I got off of Immortal Masks.
Well,
But then I was like, wow, you know what? I could expand on this. So as of right now, in the future, sometime I'm gonna make a part two. So and I already got some ideas in my head and stuff like that. How I want things to unfold, and same thing, man. It'll start off pretty hot and heavy, and I'm big on that too. So I don't. This is might be kind of strange saying this stuff to like found footage folk, but I don't like movies that like absolutely nothing happens the entire time,
hmm.
and then like the last minute something happens.
Yeah, I understand.
I want people to know like right out the gate, I want something. I want something to hook me right out the gate. And so that's why I did the opener of the Ruck March like I did, because you see that and you're like, holy shit, that's wow, something bad's gonna happen. I need to keep watching, you know. And so part two will start out the same way. I like starting my movies like that.
I think the filmmaking thesis that I've come up with is your first 10 minutes and your last 10 minutes are like the most important part of
Yeah,
your movie. Like everything else in the middle, the audience, is like processing and like figuring out, but like those first
yeah,
10 minutes got to hook you in, and the last 10 minutes got to, satisfy you and, leave you hyped for something more. And I think you
yeah.
totally delivered with that.
Yeah, thanks, man. Yeah, right at first, something bad is gonna happen, very foreboding, and then the meat in the middle is pretty much the world building,
Mhm.
and then have your epic conclusion of just carnage.
So I am so excited that the Ruck March is going to play and that it's going to be on Found TV app
Yep.
for everyone to enjoy, and I'm going to be spreading the word about it for the rest of the year. Thank you so
Appreciate
much
that.
for this interview. I'm going to close it out with, do you have one question for me about my film Toy Vlog Hunt, also playing at UFF8 on Saturday at 3:25 p.m. with Leech?
That was very entertaining. I really enjoyed that. Especially, I'm 45, so like I'm big on like toys from the 80s and stuff like that. Like actual physical toys as opposed to electronics that kids love nowadays.
Mhm.
I like the actual toys. So what inspired you to make that movie?
Uh, so it's I'm gonna try to keep this as concise as I can, sort of, so that I'm not here for like an hour and a half. But so basically, I've always been into a lot of nerdy fandoms. I was into comic books as a kid. I grew up with, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles toys and
Yeah.
my brother's leftover He-Man toys, and I played with everything basically when I was a kid. I had Power Rangers toys, I had everything. And I've always been into toys, always been into comic books, and I've been collecting them my whole life. And then like about like 3-4 years ago, I have to started downsizing my collection and getting rid of stuff, to afford the universe, you know what I mean? So I've been selling stuff on eBay. And then also around that time, I got very heavily involved, and I'm still heavily involved in the Star Wars fandom.
Mhm.
And I'm on the camp that The Last Jedi is one of the greatest Star Wars films ever made. So I've taken a lot of heat over the years from alt-right grifter nerds on YouTube.
Yeah.
And if you type in Star Wars on YouTube, the algorithm like automatically pushes you like 8 videos about how there's too many women in Star Wars, there's too many black people in Star Wars, there's, all these wokeness that's being stuff. Kathleen Kennedy's gonna get fired. It's just like a shitstorm, right? And so I had a friend through fandom who basically was doing a data analysis about this, what she considers an alt-right pipeline to, pull basically like the culture war that people talk about, that, a lot of the talking points start in these white nationalists um uh posts, and then they get filtered through YouTube, and then they have now, we have people in our current political parties who are espousing these beliefs that, I heard, you know 7-8 years ago on YouTube from YouTubers like The Quartering and Geeks and Gamers, and a bunch of those type of people. So that pulled me into a rabbit hole where I started documenting how all of these people were attacking their podcast. Their podcast was called Rewriting Ripley, and they wrote a Medium article with their findings and their analytics and their hypothesis. and they were like mercilessly attacked, and there were over 80 videos made about this, and all the videos basically say the same things. And these girls got doxxed, and they got harassed, and they had to move from places that they lived, and they entertained all these threats for, trying to put forward their findings. And I thought that was really, really messed up, and it really pissed me off. And I was watching a lot of horror movies, and I was also watching a lot of toy vlogs during COVID because I love toys. And I started putting all of those pieces together in my brain and being like, what if there was a serial killer who was killing people on his toy vlog? And what if that's the type of content that, sort of metaphorically expresses the type of, turmoil that is caused? Because, like, doxing someone is not something that, like, in a movie you can really show. You know what I mean? Like it's hard to show. But everyone understands, like, serial killers and murder. And so I was like, what if the Quartering was a serial killer? And this is my interpretation of him. And then I threw in some shades of Mr. Beast in my performance. And that's ultimately what happened. But I didn't really I didn't start off with a script. It was all like very free flow. I just like kind of made like I talked back and forth with my fellow writers, Derek and Danny, to bounce ideas off of, and then ultimately it coagulated into this shape of a movie. So yeah,
Awesome, man. It was very entertaining. I liked it a lot.
It's not pedophiles. My origin does not contain pedophiles, but for all I know, they may be pedophiles. I don't know. You'll figure that out for me, I guess, eventually.
Yeah, I mean, the guy that gets killed, maybe he was. So in reality, you're kind of a hero.
No. He wasn't. He's an innocent. They're a totally innocent person. That's what I think. It's just totally random. I thought about what if I made the victim a black person or a very obviously queer person or something like that. And if I ever do another short with this character, maybe that's something I might explore. But I didn't want to get there because that's not like that wasn't the point of it. You know what I mean? To really be that specific. I wanted that to be the underlying sinister message that's also bleeding through the video.
Yeah, just a random everyday person going about their life.
Yeah.
And
okay. Thank you so much, Michael Rock. This was so much fun.
You're very welcome.
I look forward to talking with you again. Is there anything you want to plug before we get out of here? You want to plug your YouTube channel, Willow Rock Productions?
You search me on YouTube, Willow Rock Productions. I'm on Instagram, Cadre Mike Rock. I'm on Facebook as Michael Rock. And I'll be at the Unnamed Footage Fest from March 27th and the 28th. So if you go there and you're around, hit me up. I would love to meet folks and shoot the breeze a little bit, find out more about people that watch my crappy movies.
That's awesome, dude. I have been Steven. And remember, kids, when you're at Unnamed Footage Festival, take a lot of pictures and post them with hashtags so people can see the results. And then I will be seeing that from afar and being very happy. So thank you so much, and boom.
Hail Wunder. Hail Wunder. Wundercast? Give it up for Wundercast, man. What an adorable name.
You're listening to the Wundercast.
What's up, everybody? This is Jason David Frank, Green Ranger. You're listening to Wundercast.
find it at Wundacast, and I know they love Effie.
I'd like to close this out by urging everyone to go over to wundablog.com, and you'll see on all of our recent podcasts, and once I post this up there, there will be a link to D-Rock's Patreon account for ad infinitum.
Oh, why'd you start linking my Patreon exactly when I stopped updating?
Oh no! Never mind!
You can also...
No, I'm gonna update it soon, I am. Because Halloween-a-thon's almost over. I've been busy with Halloween-a-thon, so... Sorry, everybody.
Also support the Ringing Rocks roller rink and their GoFundMe to improve their local facility. You can check us out at Bundacast on TikTok and on Twitter. And thank you for joining us on YouTube.
Subscribe to the Wundacast.